The 2022 Mercedes C63 AMG has just been released, and well, the C63 is sort of dead. Despite us being annoyed at the time about that downgrade from a 6.2 litre V8 to a 4.0 litre V8, boy oh boy, did we not realise how lucky we were. So, here we go, you're watching Auto Anorak, and it's about time to do a deep dive into AMG's latest tree-hugging low-carb diet, C63. Of course, you'll have already heard the bad news. It's a 4-cylinder car with the C63 badge. Two things that don't really compute, but more on that in just a bit, and unwelcome hint, it's probably a lot worse than we thought. This comes about as Mercedes have to lower the emissions in their product lineup in order to comply with EU regulations. You will have to shell out the big bucks if you want an AMG with the forbidden V8, such as the AMG GT range. For now though, let's try and find out what might actually be pretty cool about this thing. For starters, it will remain rear-wheel drive, as Mercedes claims that you can't get the C63 driving dynamics without that setup. Still not sure how a C63 without a V8 does that, but I guess we'll find out. It's also said to be a Nürburgring monster, with those that have spotted this car on the ring claiming it to be absolutely rapid around the track, and if Mercedes' AMG GT Black Series lap times are anything to go by, I'd stand by that. The car is also hybrid, which, before everyone starts frantically screaming in the comments, isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. Let's not forget that AMG's new Project 1 hypercar will have the same hybrid turbocharger technology as this C63, and that's a car so advanced and difficult to produce that Mercedes' CEO has said, and I quote, that I'm sure we were drunk when we said yes to the Project 1. If technology is advanced and complicated enough for the CEO of the world's longest running car company in the world to complain about the efforts creating it, then you know it's something to get excited about. So, let's get a proper look at the thing. Of course, Mercedes have released this car in a very executive and serious silver colour, which is actually surprising. They haven't even tried to strategically use a bright colour to distract us all from this car's downfall like the new Acura Integra. They're quite okay with the bleak silver. The front end gets the same treatment as cars like the A45 AMG with these new pointed front lights, Pan America grille, and it looks like a blend of the A45's front end and new E63's front. The rear lights are also pinched like the CLS or the new Mercedes SL, whilst the rear does have staples of AMG cars like the quad exhausts. It does look a tad subdued in comparison to AMGs of the past, and dare I say it, a bit boring. It's a bit like watching Grand Tour after years of watching OG Top Gear. It looks good, and you can see that the general themes are there, but it just isn't the same. On the side profile, this really does look like a standard W205 C63, except it's rocking some new wheels that I actually really like. They remind me a lot of the stuff that you'll see from Brabus these days, which is of course closely tied to the Mercedes brand, although not really so much anymore as they make Porsches, Teslas, and even Rolls Royces these days. And so, we can finally focus on that 4-cylinder. That soul-suckingly underwhelming, puny-sounding 4-cylinder. As mentioned, it will have an electrically aided turbocharger system that will be powered by a 400-volt hybrid system. The rear wheels will also be given an added 93 horsepower thanks to the same electric drive unit that we've already seen on the AMG GT73 4-door, great name by the way, and this drive unit has its own 2-speed transmission and can produce up to 203 horsepower in periods of 10 seconds, kind of like DRS or NOS in a computer game like Need for Speed. All of this together pushes the total output of this car to 680 horsepower, giving it a smidge more power than the last gen cars, actually quite a bit more than last gen cars, and around 440 of that horsepower comes from the 4-cylinder engine alone, which, yep, you guessed it, has been ripped straight out of the A45 AMG. Now, the A45 has a great engine, a super compact 2-litre turbocharged power plant that is so extremely dense with horsepower and sounds incredible for a 4-cylinder. But come on, let's be real for a minute. Who's actually buying this? It's not going to be the standard AMG owners who yearn for their average trip to the shops to revolve around them arriving into a car park in a bloom of their own tire smoke after shredding their rear tires to shreds and using their 6.2 litre V8 to deafen an entire village. Yeah, not those guys. And it's not going to be the people that just want a good looking car, because AMG line C classes exist, and it might not even be the track day boys, because whilst this will produce more power than the previous C63s, it is set to weigh a heck of a lot more thanks to the new hybrid elements. At the end of many of these videos, I tell you to go out and buy one of the cars if you can, because it's the last of its breed, and well, with the C63 bloodline, it's already ended. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mercedes C63 AMG is well and truly dead.